You're never gonna let me down. 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 You're never gonna let me
Okay back there? That's awesome. Nice fills there at the end. Wow. Very, very cool. And it really built nicely too. That's hard to do, like pace yourself. That's very, very good. Hey, I think, man, ensemble things were happening. I love the different textures. Like Ali, your little, was that like a bell sound or?
It was such cool.
It might just be electric piano.
Electric piano. That's nice. Trying to sound almost like a vibraphone or something like that. But very cool. Yeah, nice textures. I would say maybe vocally, if you're singing like melodies that have like a repeated notes, you are good. Oh, like maybe find after a while singing that, find some way to vary it, whether it's playing with the, like especially if you're just doing it by yourself. Like if you're singing together, it might be a little bit tougher, but maybe find a way to do a little variation on it, melodically, or I don't know, dynamically, or some way to vary it just a pinch.
And the whole chorus is 3 notes.
Yeah. So I mean, but you guys did. I mean, you honestly, with the 2 voices, you guys had some interesting harmonies, some good harmonies. You did some stuff in unison. You did some stuff, solo. So I mean, you were varying it that way, which is really good. But that's when the melody is just pretty simple that way. Maybe I don't know. Maybe finding some way to kind of bring a little bit of variation into it. A little ad lib, maybe. At some point, I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing out some ideas, but overall, very nice. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, just like, even if you echoed, like if you said, good, yes, he's good, or something, that call and response type thing can add that variation. I wondered about keys, just if it was a little bit low for you, Xander, in the first one.
Yeah.
I wondered if there was maybe a minor third up or something, but I know those things just jump so high. But then that's where Maisie, you've got those horses, up there. But I don't know. What were you going to say?
That's a good thing.
Oh, well, we brought both songs into each other.
Yeah.
We were both singing them, so it was like finding a key. I kept going back and forth
I know.
between all of them.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
It really is.
Wow.
Yeah. And so keep wrestling with that kind of thing.
Maybe if you're singing lower Xander, maybe just don't push. Just felt it. Yeah, maybe just don't. Like maybe at that point, maybe Yeah, just maybe back off just a pinch.
Or find other melodic lines that you can, that still gets at the basic framework.
I could-
Does that make sense? You do it, you all do it naturally, but, I don't know, that's hard. I loved your, those little short, little fills in there, right at the end of that last tune, I thought, that's nice. Just kind of took you right with it. Very nice, yeah. Good.
I echo a lot of what they're saying. I really appreciated the intentionality with the different, like, you were covering one texture, you were on another, you were on another. That was really nice. I don't have much to say. I think, Xander, I will say, I always comment when you play the piano about you moving around a lot, but you didn't today. Good job. You stayed right on that mic and your voice was nice and consistent. So thank you. That was very nice. To ting off of what they said, I think it's a support issue. Like when you're singing soft or low, just being fully supported throughout here. I think, when you have a microphone in front of you, it's easy to think, oh, I don't have to support this as much. You have to almost sing with more proper technique in those instances than others and let them do what they need to do back here. But it just sounded like more of it was a support issue in those. Yeah, it was really good. Be careful sometimes. You guys sing really well together, but your vowel shapes, like on word bend and down, sometimes they were different, so it made it sound out of tune, even though it really probably wasn't. And Maisie, I actually thought on the "You Are Good" in that chorus, you could have hit the "you." I know there's a bigger voice in there. I've heard it.
Yeah.
So find that bigger voice, and I think when you come in on that, good, you could hit that a little bit better. So, your turn.
I enjoyed it very much. I really, really appreciated the fact, I don't know how much time you put into it, but you could tell you thought through your arrangement. Okay, we're gonna go from here, we're gonna do this, we're gonna transition, rather than going, okay, we're gonna sing this song, and then we're gonna stop, and then we're gonna sing this song. I mean, I could tell that there was some time put into it. I don't know how much you did, but that was very nice. I like the way the two of you, especially at the beginning, were kind of trading. Xander, you started, Maisie, then you took and then it felt real natural. It didn't feel at all pushed. So I thought the way you're trading the lead was really nice. Each instrument felt like you kind of thought, okay, here's my place, and you went there. All of you, I thought it was really, really nice. They stole my thunder, but Carter, that fill coming out of the "You're Never Gonna Let," that was beastly, man, and it was appropriate, and it drove the song forward. So all of those, I really, just the whole thing, everybody, very good, very nice.
Shouldn't that be angelic?
It was an angelically beastly.
Angelic would be something. Wow. That's good. It's fun having electric too. That's nice.
Yeah, we very intentionally could not find the acoustic guitar.
But the way he was playing was kind of like an acoustic guitar. I mean, it wasn't,
Yes.
you were strumming it, and at times you were strumming it hard, but it all was like fitted with where the song was going. So that was very nicely done.
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Grady, you want to jump up there? Sure. Play? Don't touch that way.
Okay.
We have kind of a main crisis going on
Carter's too tall.
here. I had to move to the side. We're good though. Okay.
I think we're ready.
Ready?
So, what are you playing?
Okay.
Brady?
I am playing these Target Preludes who, yeah, anyway. I played the first one a while back, and I've been going through them, so this is the fifth one. And I think I have it memorized, but we'll see.
Okay.
Are there 5 of them?
So, what?
How many of them are there?
5. So this is the last one. All right.
Hey Grady, I don't know if this would help or not, but sometimes like on piano or guitar, sometimes we're thinking of chords more vertically. And we're kind of thinking, okay, like this chord's kind of going here, here, and here. You know, I don't know if it would help to also think about it horizontally, like these notes from here to here, from this chord to this chord, this is where those notes are going. But you know, just taking those shapes and just making sure from chord, like especially when there's 2 chords in a row, like getting into that chord, you can boom, you got that shape, and then the next one, I would just really hammer that until it's just, you know, just continues to just be kind of flowing well. But maybe in your mind, think that don't only think of it vertically, but also think about it, the notes moving kind of left to right. You know what I mean? That would kind of help.
Yeah.
Think through it. So.
I have a technique question that, looking at it, I think, how do you think it? And I don't know how you do it, so that's what I'm asking. So the very first note you have, is it considered a grace note to the first note in the first full measure?
So it's like,
Kind of like a ghost note.
yeah, so it's showing that it slides into it, and then you plug it.
Yeah, so is the slide to be even like dee-dum-dee, or is it dee-wee-dee-bum?
Maybe. I just like the sound of
Yeah,
doing it kind of late in the beat.
yeah,
But you might use it. I
yeah.
don't know.
So I wonder what that does to then the first note of the first measure, how you treat that slide, and then how it begins that next measure. Like you did 2 different kinds of slides there, so the first note felt different to me both times.
True.
And that's not that just is a new thing for me right now. And thinking, wow, that slide really does mean something more than just a slide. Does that make sense?
Does
I don't know. Thanks for teaching me that. I like it. This is a beautiful piece.
What is the, I'm asking you this, I think I know, what's the time period of this?
romantic.
Oh, well, then that's like a needle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was thinking, if this is Baroque, I mean, or like even classical, you would think da-da-ba-da-ba-ba. You would think pretty tight, but if it's romantic, maybe it is ja-da-ba.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And each phrase that it comes on or comes before could mean something different. That's really fascinating.
Nicely done. It was
Yeah.
a nice piece, enjoyable. Your memory didn't fade you, mostly.
Most-
You had to stop it. It was teasing you a time or two, like, I don't know if I'm going to share this with you. Okay, here you go. But so I mean, obviously you need to just solidify that memorizing above, and then after that,
Yeah.
start to enjoy those like I said, the melodies and where those notes are going and flowing and phrasing and all that stuff. And when it's nice, and when you start to do that, it's really going to just even get better and start to sparkle. It'll be really nice. But that was a nice job, very enjoyable.
I have nothing to add to what they said. Good job.
Yes, yeah.
That looks so hard, dude. It's like honestly, what Wally was saying, those shapes are all over the place. And like, you gotta cut off part of your guitar to get something. I think don't we have a classical that has like a
Yeah.
maybe it's
It's
yours.
mine.
It's yours.
Well, yeah, Kevin and I.
But yeah, I was just like, is this supposed to be on an electric guitar or is it? No,
Yeah,
it looked. It
This
was.
one.
I was impressed. Like those shapes.
Yeah.
Different.
For real. For reals. Hey, thank you, Grady. Avery, you want to have you sing for us? Grady, Grady, where do you want this one? Oh, yeah. Thank you. That's fun.
Okay. I'm singing Little Buttercup. Goes by on page. One call little buttercup, dear little buttercup, though I could never tell long, but still I call buttercup, for
finding the real talk, as it were, of where your voice really operates the best. And there were moments where it just, okay, that's where it is, and things were lining up. Well, there were other places that there were some pitch issues, and it seemed like it happened when you had large intervals. So keep working on really hearing them. Hearing the bigger intervals and the smaller ones, like half steps and things like that. But yeah, did you like this tune?
I do.
Yeah, it's a fun tune. I wonder if it's written in a higher key. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's great that it's in C though.
So they come-
Speaking as a company, it's wonderful that it's sincere, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think keep working on that and keep finding where that sweet spot is in your voice that it really zings and it takes off and really shoots.
Yeah, there's some real tricky little, like real little, like real chromatic kind of phrases in there. So I say this to some singers, like sit down at the piano, plunk it out, match pitch with the keyboard, with the piano, because I think there's just a few intervals that probably they're just not supernatural. Maybe like we don't necessarily hear those kind of intervals all the time, or we probably don't come across them in pop music a lot, but definitely some little intervals there that are pretty tricky. I'm thinking on the second page at the top
Yeah.
there, stuff to Becky and Excellent Jackie.
Yeah, and I
Interesting lyrics.
Treckle and Toffee. Da 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 dee, da da.
Oh yeah, real tricky little. So just keep working with that. I mean, I think it's just a matter of, kind of hearing it, kind of in your ear, but then also matching that pitch with like a keyboard or something, just so you're getting used to the way that feels like in your throat and everything. So yeah, it's definitely coming for sure.
I was watching and I thought, I think she's enjoying it. I think it's coming across like she likes the song.
Yeah.
So continue to work on that. I mean, there were times where like, oh, she's relaxing, having fun, but continue to work on just, showing us that, expressing that, because that totally draws us in as the observers. And well, just to expound on what Wally said, playing each note, like the first time or two, don't do it at tempo. Play that note and sing it, and listen to it. Go on to the next one, sing it, listen to it, rather than just right through in time, because that will really help you hear it. And then at the end of the phrase, buttercup, and then it goes to the next one, don't sell short that last syllable, buttercup, short.
Yeah.
Like buttercup. Make sure that gets fully said before you move. And even though there's like this much space for you to catch that next breath. That was just a tiny little thing. Just make sure each word gets all that it's needed, even though you're flying through them so fast. Nice job. It was nice tune, enjoyable.
I just need more diction. Yeah, I know. Okay, because your words are kind of, you're great without a feel with it, but I'm losing the pronunciation. And I think that will help focus some of your vowel sounds using that diction more deep into the next.
Yeah. Yes.
I just want to say, I appreciated you seemed pretty confident through it all, projecting the whole time. Even though there were some intervals that you didn't know as well as others. I feel like if you're doing this for an audience of non-musicians especially, they were just oh, she's doing it fine because you projected the whole time. You never mumbled through it and oh, I messed it. I feel physically see that some notes are already noticed, so I just wanted to be
Good job. Good job. Ellie, can you play for us? Yeah, sure. What's that down here? All right. Refrigerator's okay. Yeah.
Thank
Okay, Ellie, what do you play for us?
Sonata in G by Thomas Atwood and did all 3 minutes this time.
Okay, great.
Let's try that again.
Great job. I enjoyed it very much. I would encourage you, to always be thinking of phrasing. I mean, there were times when I'm like, there's a phrase, oh, there's a nice, and then it would kind of like maybe get lost a little bit. But just to thinking about these phrasings, some of them, a lot of them, you could think of them like you're telling a story. There's a beginning and a middle and an end. And there's the purpose for the beginning of it, and there's a purpose for the ending of it, and then there's that middle part that gets you from the beginning to the end. And then, so just always be thinking about that the whole way through the song. I mean, it's well written. And then some of the phrases, this is just how I think of it. It's like you're talking, you get to the end of the phrase, and and then you go into the next one. So there are some times where that end of that phrase is a period. That's the end of a paragraph, and you take a break. And there's other ones that end of that phrase actually starting you into the next phrase. So you don't get a period, you get a comma. It's just thinking about the phrasing. That's just encourage you because you're telling a story with this song. You're very nicely, by the way, telling a story with this song. But just be aware, there's a flow as it comes up and it comes down and it goes places. But other than that, I don't really. That was just my initial thought of it. Tell a story with it. We want to hear it.
I like your use of dynamics there in the last, you use dynamics throughout, but in the last moment, it was nicely done. And it added to the music box, like, feel of it. And then there was some lingering that you did in the middle movement, where that was very restful to hear, and you kind of lingered, and then you went, and then you kind of pulled us along with that, so, well done.
Yeah, pieces like this, they kind of do relate a little bit to, even with the contemporary worship thing, because you think about playing chords, like in worship songs, what else can you do, like on piano, like what other options do you have, like when you see chords? Well, here, like in this first movement, you're learning that you can arpeggiate certain things in the key of G. There's certain little melodic devices you can use in that key, and then the second movement, the key of C. So it's like a lot of times if I'm working on a piece like this, it's kind of informing the things I'll do if I'm playing, just reading a chord chart. It's like giving me options. Like, oh yeah, I can arpeggiate that chord. It's not going to sound. I wouldn't like just try to superimpose this piece over 10,000 reasons or something. But it gives you options of things you could do with music. Because when you're playing chord charts, and this is for guitar players as well, you have to kind of think like an arranger a little bit. You're like, okay, how can I do this, and what are some different things I can do? So instead of always kind of doing the same kind of voicings or the same kind of chords, the more you learn about your instrument and what's possible in that instrument, the more options you have, especially if you're reading these chord charts. So I just encourage you too to try to make that link of because I heard you doing our arpeggiated things even in the piece you were playing earlier, and so yeah, it's all kind of informing your musicality. It's all kind of coming in, and so yeah, keep up the good work. This is really, really good. So nice job. Ollie, did you want this music back? Yeah, Ollie, did you need this music back? Okay.
Might as well, because I have to recopy Jerry's.
Say the truth. What are you playing for us, Jake?
Well, today I'm playing.
What about tomorrow? What are you?
I am playing Bach's Prelude in C minor.
D minor.
D minor.
You can transpose it.
Good
On the
luck.
fly.
C minor, I want to do C.
All right. ask you, when you just played that, what kind of emotion do you think are you trying to pull out of that piece when you play it? If you kind of had to list an emotion, what would you list? What would you say?
I would say not quite somber or sad, but like kind of it's kind of in between sad and angry, I guess.
Okay.
Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Consider that. Yeah, this is not necessarily emotion, but I was even thinking, like, what if you thought of something kind of mysterious too? This just because sometimes Baroque music, I think sometimes it kind of gets a bad rap sometimes of being, people think it can be a little bit cold, kind of cold. But there's so much depth there, and I wonder if you started this thinking a little bit more kind of mysteriously, and let that kind of grow out of that. Because I think technically you're doing great with it. I think the notes are there. Just wondering if there's some other kinds of emotions and different things you could kind of express with it, It kind of felt almost like a little bit. I think it was starting to get there towards the end a little bit, but it was kind of on it was almost like one-dimensional a little bit emotionally, instead of kind of like a little bit deeper there. So I don't know. Something to explore maybe.
Baroque music is hard in that, like Wally said, it can be thought of as well, it's not romantic. There's not this crazy rubato, and you don't have tempo. It's just going all over the place and big, and it's pretty straightforward the entire way through. You start, especially with Bach, you start and it's kind of this marathon until you get boom, boom at the end. So, like he said, how do you, without romanticizing it, breathe life into it? That's something definitely to think about. Like, it's more than just the notes, and there's phrasing, and with him, there's tons of, there's so much happening in every measure, and every note is very intentional. I would, kind of like I said with Ali, think about where it's going, what's the arc. Okay, these 5 notes are going to this, but then this leads us into here, and then think, some about the phrasing a little bit. It shouldn't be light and airy like a Mozart. When you were playing it, actually in my head, I was hearing the notes you were playing on the piano, hearing them done on harpsichord. That's probably the way it was written.
Yeah.
And on a harpsichord, you can't do dynamics. You hit the note and it plucks the string. You don't have that option.
Jake had a lesson today, we talked about this today.
She didn't tell me to say that. But, just be thinking, what can you do without romanticizing it to just make it just flow a little bit more and not sound robotic. That's not that I'm saying you sound robotic, but it's easy to do that with Baroque music.
So it's not just like a dynamic thing. It's more of a feeling
It's a feeling, it's a movement thing.
I don't know.
Exactly. I was thinking of cadence points. Where are your cadence points? And Bach didn't necessarily emphasize his cadence points. You almost just kind of got there. And then he goes on again. And he can get in the middle of it. He can get there, and right underneath it, another hand is taking off for another journey. Again, so it's like, right, how do you describe that? It is a feeling, and it isn't a dynamic. It's almost a technique control. I don't know, it's really.
His music it's perpetual motion. It really is, from the first note to the end. It just doesn't stop. It's relentless.
But it has
Brilliant.
an incredible amount of emotion throughout it. I love it. Fiddly, like what is the emotion? And you think of fiddly, da 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 dum, bum, a few hundred years later. But he uses it, fiddly. Why does he use that at different points?
Jake, I think a couple of things we talked about in your lessons today will help with that. We talked about your tempo, needing to go a little bit quicker at the beginning. I think that will help you find the phrasing to it. the terrace dynamics that we talked about, these places where we talked about, okay, this layers, let's build here, let's pull back here. That will help you as well. Thirdly, you need to go watch the streaming video of this and watch your hands. I've not caught you do this before, but your hands were up and down in those keys constantly. And unfortunately, when you do that, that technique affects our tone quality. And so the tones that you're producing can sound a little erratic because your hands are coming into the black keys, into the white keys, into the black keys, into the white keys. You just stay more consistent with where your hands are. So go watch that video, you'll see it.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll say I'm talking. But with Bach too, I was working on some Goldberg variations, and I was listening to a couple different versions, like Glenn Gould, Lang Lang, and then Martha Argerich. And what's interesting is all the ornamentation, trills and little turns. There's some freedom there. Like you can interpret that a little bit. I mean, you know, go listen to a few versions of this piece and see how pianists. And you'll kind of begin to kind of understand, I think, what we're talking about. Like, oh my goodness, it's like it's the same piece, you know, it's like, and, you know, even though there's not a ton of maybe leeway with Baroque music, but it's like amazing how different it can sound from pianist to pianist. So maybe listen to a few different versions too, and begin to kind of see how they're interpreting it. And that helps as well, to kind of get an outside perspective there.
He's listened to Glenn Gould. I think even the Goldberg variations is what I told him to listen to maybe.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell him to listen to like Lang Lang or anyone else that would do it.
Sam, you had a thought there?
Yeah, something that helps me when I'm trying to figure out, like, this is a Baroque piece, where, like, people are like, just have more emotion, have more emotion. You're like, what? Something that helps me is, like, maybe thinking about what this song would be a soundtrack to. Like, imagining, like, a little bit of a story. Even if you make it up, it can be a real thing in your life. But, like, specifically, I was thinking about that one part where, like, it's just plunking along, and then you get that little, like, what happened to the main character that all of a sudden he was like, did he all of a sudden get really mad at somebody and start yelling at him? And sometimes without even meaning to, if you're visualizing that as you're playing, the emotion just naturally happens. Maybe you could try something like that.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Just remember, every song is telling a story.
Yeah.
Even without words, especially without words, it's important to remember that. I don't know what the story is. It could be different for each person, but every song tells a story. There's a beginning, there's a middle, a climax point, and then it comes back down to an end. And maybe multiple times. But it's always going somewhere, up, down, forward. It's always going. Especially Bach.
Hey, good job, Jay. Hey, just a reminder, the jury schedules are out on that bulletin board there, and also the recital sign up.
And I need that by Monday, please, so I can put together the program.
Don't make Bethany come find you.
Yes, I don't want to do that.
She knows where you live.
That I do.
So let's, France team, I guess we're back here at 4 p.m.